Hey, welcome back to the PA Universe. I'm Dale McKinney, your host. We've got a great show today. We've got Brittany Syner. Brittany is a PA that's here to tell us her story about what happened to her, what happened to her practice, her community, when her collaborative physician left and was no longer available. It's a growing concern with PAs, but much more so a growing concern with our patients. This is a big deal. We need to highlight this. We need to get these stories out there. So that's what we're doing today. So Brittany, welcome to the PA Universe.
Thank you.
So Brittany, I kind of did a brief introduction. Tell me about yourself, where your practice was, the state you were in, that kind of thing, what kind of practice it was, and just tell us what happened. Give us your story.
Sure. So my name is Brittany Syner. I've been a PA for almost 9 years now. The practice that I was working in during this time, it was about 4 years ago when this happened. I was in rural West Virginia, and it was a small privately owned practice. Just one physician and his wife owned the practice. The physician actually worked full-time in another practice. He was in partnership in a dermatology practice. So our practice was like an urgent care. Primarily, we did some family practice as well in a rural town in West Virginia. And so he worked full-time in the dermatology practice, but then had 2 PAs and 2 nurse practitioners that would run the urgent care clinic for him. And he would just come in periodically. We primarily operated as a satellite clinic where he was available via phone consultation if we needed him. But 4 years ago, it was January of 2018. He was only 54 years old, healthy man, and he suddenly died of a massive heart attack. And it was very tragic, yes, for us and for the community, everyone that knew him, all of his patients. But what that meant for us in the clinic was him being the sole owner and the sole collaborating physician, we had no one to oversee us to practice. And so we fought hard. We contacted the board of medicine in West Virginia multiple times, begging, is there any kind of exception that could be made in a circumstance like this? And they just told us no. So unfortunately, we had to shut our doors temporarily. And so these patients that, especially the family practice patients, were just left without care. And then being in, this happened in January, so wintertime, it was flu season, and it was an average, we would see 70 to 80 patients a day in flu season. We operated Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we were 12-hour days, and then suddenly we've shut the doors now. And so patients can't receive care. People are out of work. It was just very tragic, a tragic loss for all around.
So let me ask you, Brittany, let me ask you a real quick question. So I'm assuming, though, from what I know, that wasn't really the Board of Medicine's decision. That's just because that's the law. That's how the law is written. Is that correct?
Right. Yes. And that's what they told us. It was law that a PA could not practice in the state of West Virginia without having, at that time, it was called a supervising physician. They hadn't even transferred over to the collaborating term yet. So they were very strict in their laws at that time.
Even though the name has changed from supervising to collaborative physician, has that law changed at all?
So just recently, actually, for West Virginia in July of 2021, it just went into effect that they've sort of loosened those restrictions a little for West Virginia, whereas it used to be we had to have a practice agreement that outlined very detailed what we could and couldn't do in the practice with the supervising physician. And so now all we have to do is report that this is where we work, who we work with, and it's at the job site or at your collaborating physician's discretion of what you can do. But all the specifics don't necessarily have to be reported to the board anymore. It can you can adapt what's on the job. What
would happen if the same exact situation happened today? In West Virginia?
Yeah, the exact same thing would happen, because you do still have to have that collaboration. PAs cannot work independently.
Okay. All right. Okay. How many patients do you think were affected by this?
Oh gosh, hundreds.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a rural town, but we had a pretty big family practice following, in addition to our walk-in urgent care patients. So I can't give you an exact number, but it was a lot.
Okay. All right. And so this affected family practice and urgent care.
Yes.
So if you had to guess, would it be more than hundreds?
Well, potentially, yeah. As I
Okay.
said, during flu season, sometimes we were seeing 70 to 80 patients per day. So, um,
Who who picked
yeah.
up the slack? Where did those patients end up going?
Well, so we did recommend a few other urgent cares, some primary cares in the vicinity, just for the for the meantime, and we were hoping that it was a short term thing.
Hmm.
And luckily, this is where it gets a little tricky, and this is where I really advocate for the PA profession. The way that we were able to, the quickest way we were able to get our doors back open was for the two nurse practitioners that we had to contact the nursing board and get approval to operate independently. And
Really?
so once, yes, and so once they had that approval, we could open the doors again for those two to continue working and seeing patients, but the two PAs were not able to do that. Um, so when the owner's wife was under the impression that she was going to need to sell the clinic, she did find a doctor to come on and act as a supervising physician during the transfer process of selling the clinic to him. But she worked with an attorney because she really did not want to give up that practice. It was a
Mhm.
family-owned practice, and she wanted to keep it. And so it took about a year for everything to go through, but she did actually find a loophole where she could continue to own the clinic, and that the only way it could happen was for her to transition that clinic into a nurse practitioner only clinic, because the laws in
Really?
West Virginia to own a medical practice with physicians and PAs, the law states that you have to have at least one physician as a shareholder in the practice. And she really didn't want to do that. She wanted it to just continue to be the family owned practice there. And so
Hmm.
she was able to continue running, but now it's solely a nurse practitioner clinic. And so myself and the other PA that were employed, we lost our jobs.
So I just want to make sure I understand. So the law basically reads that a physician, with all the schooling that they go through, and the residency and all the clinical hours, um, and PAs with all the schooling that PAs go through and all the clinical hours, if the clinic employs either one of those, then a physician has to be a part owner.
Correct.
But a nurse practitioner, to run the clinic, it can be a clinic that runs without a supervising physician, without a PA, can run with nurse practitioners with, and I'm not slamming NPs, I'm being honest. And if you've seen any of our other videos, you know what I'm talking about. With less schooling, with less clinical hours, they can actually run the clinic with somebody who's not even a medical person being the owner.
Correct. Yes.
Wow.
And I think there was probably a little more that played into it as well. I know there had to be like a certificate of need for the clinic to still operate in that community because it was a rural area.
Sure,
So there was probably
sure.
more than just that. But yes, that the bottom line was, because his wife was not a physician herself, in order to employ a physician or PA, she would have had to have a physician partner.
And that certificate of need sounds like it only allowed for the NPs to practice, not PAs or physicians, unless the owner was a
Correct.
physician.
Right.
Wow, 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 wow. So we've got some work to do, don't we? That's crazy. Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
absolutely do.
All right. Is there anything else you want to add at all?
I don't think so. I
All
just want
right.
to, I appreciate what you do and advocating for our profession and pushing this out there.
You bet. No, this is kind of I think my niche. We'll see. I mean, people may look at me and go, "That guy's an idiot, man. What the heck?" But I think this is where I can get involved. I believe it or not, my wife and I have 16 kids. We have a big, humongous house, and we've had a few of them grow up and move out. And so I have an empty bedroom.
Oh,
And so I'm like, well, we could just have an empty bedroom, or I could transform it and I could do something in my spare time. And this is what I'm doing. We'll see. Hopefully it'll help. I have no idea. So Brittany, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being in the PA universe, telling us your story. I wish this was a rare story. I wish this kind of thing never happened, but I get so many emails, so many messages of the exact same thing. We're going to highlight some of those in the next few weeks and even a few months. We've got to get the word out that this is upside down. This is my kids all the time have opposite day, where they'll be goofy and they'll say silly things. They'll call me mom and they'll say, can we have steak for breakfast? It's opposite day.
Yeah.
This is like opposite world right now. It's crazy. We need to get some of this stuff changed. So not only can we practice like we're supposed to be practicing, like we were taught, but also so our patients can be seen, they can be treated. There's a healthcare crisis, and PAs are part of that answer. And so I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you coming on, telling your story, and good luck to you. And if anything else happens, you are always welcome back into the PA universe.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You bet. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, Brittany. Hey, thank you very much to Brittany Syner. Brittany, you're amazing. Thank you for coming on. Tell us your story about what happened to you, your practice, your community, your patients when your collaborative physician left. I wish I could say that this is an isolated event, but it's not. I get emails, messages, texts all the time with this kind of story. It's crazy how the state laws are written. It's got to change. It's got to change. So thank you for being here. Thank you for coming into the PA universe, checking this out. If you get a chance, drop me a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see differently with some of this the PA universe program. Let me know what we can do different, what we can do better. Also, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified when the new videos drop and you don't have to go searching for it. It just tells you, hey, there's a new one. Go check them out. Again, that's all for us. We appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time. Now, back to the real world. We're out.